Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ACW Newscast. I'm Hakeem Johnson, your ACW commentator. As always, you get the idea. And this is the ACW Newscast number 49. And this is going to be a special edition of the newscast this week, for obvious reasons. I had kind of scheduled to do this, obviously, at the end of the week, Friday, Saturday, but due to certain things that have happened from last night, I felt that I needed to do the newscast tonight and kind of share my thoughts and opinions and memories about everything. But as some of you, I think most of you should already know by now, um, actor, comedian, television, movie star, Academy Award nominee and winner, Robin Williams has passed away at the age of 63. Coming off the news from last night, apparently, now we don't know the whole details of what went down and what happened involving his death or anything, but the reports claim that he apparently had committed suicide by suffocation, and that's the report we're going by right now. But again, we don't know the whole details of everything. But all we do know is that we have lost one of the greatest entertainers of our time. And when I first heard the news, I was getting ready to post Excel 31 last night. Was getting that all set up because I had to go to work in about an hour, so I was getting all the Excel stuff set up before I had to go to work. And I refreshed the Facebook for a good second, and I saw my news feed pretty much just littered with Robin Williams' pictures, was the saying R.I.P. And I'm like, this has to be a hoax. It has to be one of those internet hoax that people like to put on people that they think it's funny, but it's really not. But I go reading on ABC News and the Washington Post and USA Today, and it's true. Sorry. My first thoughts when I saw that, when I had learned that, Robin Williams has died, my initial thoughts were in shock. I understood that he was in his 60s, but even then, you don't ever expect one of the people that you've grown to love as an entertainer just leave you just like that. In a way, you can say that a part of my childhood had died last night. Absolutely. This goes back to earlier this year. James Avery, who a lot of people should know as Uncle Phil on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He passed away early this year, and when I read that, I was another shock because Uncle Phil was like an uncle to everybody that grew up watching him in the show, and now we've lost an uncle, and it was like our childhood is withering away very quickly and very unexpectedly, and now I have to go back to that same feeling with Robin Williams. Just a lot of shock going on and everything. A lot of the entertainers, a lot of actors, the news media, were all reporting this and sending their condolences and shock as well. And when you think of Robin Williams, people will come out and say that he wasn't the greatest actor, but for me, I can say the same thing. He wasn't the greatest actor in the world. I wouldn't even put him in my top 10 or anything like that. But for someone like Robin Williams, he didn't need to be. He didn't need to be considered the greatest actor of all time. His charm, his personality, his humor, his wittiness, they were enough for people to say, you know what, he's great at what he does. And he was. He truly was. Looking back to last night, it made me realize and I think I posted this on Facebook, and it made me realize two things coming off from this. One, you truly don't appreciate the great things in life until they're gone, and that's an absolute fact. You know, we're so worried about negativity, and we're so worried about little things that should not even bother you, but we never pay attention to the things that are are there for us to grab on positivity, and when they're gone, they're gone. You can't get it back. You can't go back and wish you could have done something different. So I was reminded of that last night, but what I was also reminded of was the harsh, inescapable truth of the fact that as a kid that was born in 1991, I'm no longer that kid anymore. For us 90s kids, and I know Robin Williams was doing a lot of work beforehand, but I feel like the 90s kids, quote unquote, felt this impact a lot more, because we grew up watching a lot of those movies and work studies done in the 90s. I mean, you look at, Dead Poet Society and Aladdin and Jumanji, Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook, Jack, Bicentennial Man, and even later on when you see like The Butler or World's Greatest Dad or Patch Adams, or Night at the Museum, you know, his death last night is still being felt today. I'm still as I'm talking right now, I'm still my thoughts are just right now in just a whirlwind of thoughts of my memories when I think of Robin Williams. Just when I think of Robin Williams, I think of somebody that was genuine. I think of somebody that was genuine, and I think of somebody that was truly a rare breed in the land of Hollywood. What I mean by that is, you know, Hollywood is always a land of people that, they're actors and entertainers, so they're always playing a role. They're always faking. They're always pretending to be something they're not. But when I look at Robin Williams, when I look at him on screen and maybe even off screen, Robin Williams the actor and Robin Williams the person aren't that far off. I feel like whenever I watch a Robin Williams movie, I'm watching Robin Williams the person as well. And I'm sorry if I keep taking these small pauses. It's just I'm thinking about the memories and I'm thinking about everything that went down last night. I'm just still kind of in a complete and utter shock. Like he's really gone. Like this is not a dream. This is not a hoax. This is real. Robin Williams is gone, and he has left us. And one of my favorite movies from Robin Williams has to be Aladdin. Now, if you're a '90s kid, there is no way in the world you can tell me that you don't know Aladdin or you haven't even watched one part of Aladdin. For all you Disney fanatics, Aladdin has to be one of your top five. I would think Aladdin is a part of your top five. And I can even tell you by experience and just by the people I'm around, for the brothers and sisters, you know, they rank Aladdin high. They probably rank Aladdin the second greatest Disney movie of all time behind Lion King, because Lion King is sacred, but Aladdin is a very close second. And when I think of Aladdin, I just think of the genie and how awesome he was when he was a kid. Like, I bought the lamp. You know how they used to sell the you remember how they used to sell those lamps and you would rub it and it would make the noise as if the genie would come out? Yeah, I used to have one of those, and that's how much I loved the genie, because he was very funny, but it was also subtle as well. And like, obviously that's just what Robin Williams was throughout his whole career. What I liked about the genie character in Aladdin was the fact that, yeah, he was funny, but at the same time he had a deeper meaning. He had a deeper character layer in him that made us relate to him, made us emote to him, that made us, you know, crawl close to him and just want to ride along with him on this ride in the movie. And you know, seeing the final scene of of Aladdin, when Aladdin set Genie free. The bromance, quote unquote, that they had throughout the entire movie. Now Genie is free to do whatever. It's very relatable to maybe a close friend, somebody that you just met and he's now your close friend, or she's your close friend. And that movie, when you look back at it, Aladdin, now as an adult, it's really a very well done movie. Yeah, it was funny. The animations was beautiful. The animation was beautiful and all that. But when you really look back at it, it's endearing how much that movie can really relate to a lot of people. And I think I think the Genie character is one of the reasons why that movie was really great and why it was really relatable to someone like me. You know. Um, and then I think of movies like Dead Poet Society. You know, when Robin Williams played the unique poet teacher, Mr. Keaton, and I love that movie, man. As someone that writes poetry, maybe that's a little fact that you guys don't know about me. I do write poetry from time to time and read it. But as someone that's really engaged in poetry when I was a kid, um, Dead Poet Society was a movie that was really endearing to me. And Mr. Keaton was a teacher that I wanted, but not just a teacher in class, but like a teacher in life, because he told and said things that should be common sense to the common man and woman. He told you never be comfortable with your never be comfortable with what you're doing now. Always strive to do better. Always strive outside the box. And he would always have these unorthodox teachings and these unorthodox ways of the students learning. But the thing that they didn't get at first, but they truly got at the end of the scene, when all those students rejected the headmaster's draconian, tyrannous teaching that wasn't going to do anything for them anyways, when they stood up to their desk in defiance and faced Mr. Keaton as he was being dismissed and about to leave the school, they stand up on the desk and recite the "Oh Captain, My Captain" poem from Walt Whitman. If that isn't a powerful scene, I don't know what the hell is. And that movie says a lot, because those students gained a lot from the unorthodox teachings from Mr. Keaton. They were comfortable being what their parents or what other influences or them themselves wanted to be, but never strived to reach the top. And at the end of the scene, they finally realized just how much of an impact Robin Williams' character did. And that's exactly why I love that movie, because I think everyone that's a humanitarian should watch that movie. It teaches a lot of things that we can learn as people, and we can learn learn from each other from. I love that scene from Dead Poets. I love the movie period, but I love that scene in particular because it speaks to me, and it speaks to a lot of people that that understand what those kids were going through, from the pressures of other people to be what they wanted them to be rather than what they wanted to be. And then I look at Mrs. Doubtfire. I remember watching that. Remember when I was a kid? That movie would always come on television. Mrs. Doubtfire. But the thing is that Mrs. Doubtfire is such a great funny film that it didn't matter. Here's a guy that's hanging out with his kids, acting like a kid himself, and you've got the wife that is more conservative, more buttoned down, and doesn't really appreciate what he's doing, and they settle for a divorce. And so he's got to find new ways to be close to his kids. So that's when Mrs. Doubtfire was born. Mrs. Doubtfire came to be the nanny for the children, to be close to them. If you are any other person that has love for their kids, or for your siblings, whatever, you want to be close to them as possible. And again, Mrs. Doubtfire, again, it's a pure example of what Robin Williams was. It's a funny film with a lot of subtle, relatable topics that a lot of people can learn from. It deals with divorce. It deals with family struggles. Deals with growing up. It deals with maturity. A lot of things we can relate to. And I know a lot of people, and I remember when I was a kid that the ending of Mrs. Doubtfire pissed me off because I wanted Sally Field's character and Robin Williams' character to get back together, find some way to come back together. But then as you go back and watch the movie now as an adult, you realize that was the perfect ending. Because Mrs. Doubtfire's monologue at the end, it's stating, and I'm not going word for word, but for the gist of it, it's okay for your parents to be divorced. Sometimes life goes in unexpected ways that are out of our control. But as long as the common goal, the common objective is your kids and how you can love them and grow them to be leaders of the world, then you have already succeeded and you have already done your job as a parent. And I dug that message, and I really loved that message. And it didn't make sense to me when I was a kid, but now it does growing up. And that's all you can really say about that. Then I think about Jumanji. Peter. Robin Williams played Peter. Peter they go back to the flashback with Peter in the 30s. How he felt that his father and mother treated him. Peter felt like his mother and father were treating him like he could never live up to their potential, like he could never be what they want him to be. And then he was trapped inside a game of Jumanji, and it took two kids of modern times to open the Jumanji game and release Peter out. And it's been figured that Peter is now a crazed caveman who's been in there fighting all sorts of animals and dinosaurs and what have you. And as the movie continues to go on, Peter starts to realize his former human life, and having to reconnect with his best friend, who was a girl, and talk to the police officer that used to work for Peter's dad's shoe company. It was again a funny film with subtle, relatable topics. It was meant to be funny, but at the same time, it deals with again, family. It deals with having to cope with certain losses and how to find yourself within commotions and struggles that you're probably going through or have been through. And Robin Williams in this movie really exemplified that. And it's funny. The ending. They go to they go to a flashback, and Peter and her best friend are now married and everything. And yet they don't recognize the kids that kind of helped them escape the future that was in store for them. So, just all these movies that I'm talking about, they are my childhood. When I posted on Facebook and Twitter that Robin Williams leaving us is like my childhood leaving me right now, because Robin Williams is my childhood. I look back at the movies I used to watch and how he used to be always a recognizable face when I was a kid. And it felt like I grew up with him, And it's a damn shame. I mean, it's just sad, Apparently he was going through certain things that caused him depression, and the depression was just too overbearing to overcome, and He just took his own life. Now, I mean, when we get to the subject, I used to always believe when I was a bit younger, but I used to always believe that, committing suicide is for the weak. That you are weak if you are to take your own life. But now as I grow up, I realized that one, that was just stuff that I heard from other people. So I didn't really buy that. I just thought it was the case. And two, that was my honestly that was my own denial of my own problems. And I don't know how I don't know how personal I want to get with this, but I'm just gonna be for a brief moment here. When I was in around the time I was in like middle school, start of high school, I was going through I was going through my certain I was going through my bouts of depression myself. Um, have you ever felt like have you ever felt like you're the only person that understands what you're going through, and nobody else either cares or pretends to care? That's kind of how I felt, you know. You know, in ways I've always been a loner, and like a true loner, not like one of these loners that try to just say that to be cool, but in a way I've always been a loner. I've always kept a small circle of people I know and people I call friends, but it's a small circle. I don't want to be famous like that. I don't want to be popular like that. But yeah, I was battling with my certain bouts of depression at the time. Just poor grades. Felt like my family didn't really have love for me like I thought they did. I didn't feel like I had any friends. I was like, man, it's kind of like thinking like, what's the point of even being here anymore? What's the point of really even being on Earth on this life? What is life if there's no purpose? So reading that whole thing with Robin Williams last night, I just kind of took an unfortunate flashback to those times with myself, and I just want to tell people that are listening to this right now. I want to let people know that are listening to this right now that if you know somebody, that is going through signs of depression in their life, if they're going through major stress in their life, don't knock them down. Don't berate them. Don't insult them. Don't yell down at them. Help them. Lift them up. Help them get back on their feet. It doesn't make you weak for doing that. It doesn't make you soft for doing it. If anything, it makes you stronger. And it makes them stronger because now they have somebody to look up to. Instead of throwing a fist, lend a hand. As we're sitting here or standing here, wherever you may be right now, there is somebody right now that is going through the same problems that possibly Robin Williams did, or maybe even worse. There's a lot of people in this world that are going through depression and stress that are hiding it just because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to express it towards other people. So if you see anybody with those kind of symptoms and those kind of, signs on themselves, do what you can to help them. Absolutely. Because that one small gesture, as small as it can be, one small gesture can save a life, can potentially save a life. Don't try to act like you're somebody you're not. Just try to help somebody. This isn't high school anymore, and I know some of you guys are in high school, but you get the whole gist of what I'm saying. But help that person. Don't try to bring them down. Don't ever try to bring them down, because that does nobody any good. You and them. And that's why every time now that I look back at it, sometimes suicide is the only option for some people, because they feel like there is no other option. They feel like there is no way out. Unless you're really going through what he's going through right now, there's no way you can tell that guy, you can never tell that person how they feel. Sometimes it is the only option. It doesn't make them weak. It makes them just hopeless. So my advice to everybody would be my 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 advice would be to just help everybody out and try to at least make this world a better place. I know it can never be a utopian of greatness, but do your part. Do your part in trying to help people. I mean, that's all I would say to you guys. Um, I'm gonna read some of the um I'm gonna read some of these Facebook posts from people that send it to me. I kind of asked on Facebook if anybody has any memories they want to share about Robin Williams and everything, and I'm just gonna read like maybe a couple of them, not a lot of them, but Gary Connell Jr. stated that I'll always remember him in movies like Aladdin, Flubber, Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook, and Jumanji. He's up there hanging out with Eddie Guerrero, laughing it up. Man, could you imagine that? Could you imagine Robin Williams and Eddie Guerrero just like doing like as a duo, like a duo up there, just creating all sorts of chaos and just havoc and just creating just so much fun there. Like I will say that I'm a bit jealous. I'm a bit jealous of quote unquote heaven because they just gained somebody funny up there that we desperately need down here. So I'm a bit jealous right now. That's awesome. But that'd be awesome. An Eddie Guerrero, Robin Williams duo pair, kind of like a Rush Hour kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like that I would pay money to see a movie like that. I honestly would. Tyrone Pierre said Jumanji, Aladdin, Robots, and Night of the Museum are some of my favorite movies by Robin Williams. Yeah, and I forgot about Robots too. Robots is another movie he was pretty good at as well. I always hear criticism of that movie, but in terms of Robin Williams' part, he was really good. Also, Happy Feet. Come on, Robin Williams and Happy Feet was epic, man. Come on, man. When he was those penguins, that just made me laugh. Like only Robin Williams can do that to me. Hugo Goncalves stated that my favorite movie from Robin Williams was Flubber from Disney. I remember Flubber too. The scientist that created this like green gel, um, you know, as a scientist. And let me tell you something. Everybody that watched Flubber when they were a kid, don't tell me you didn't have a pair of green Play-Doh and you try to put it under your shoes to make you think that you can jump high like he did with Flubber. Come on now. Especially when he took that big bump. Come on now. That was so awesome. That movie is awesome too. Granted I haven't watched Flubber in a while, but it's still a fun movie that I remember. And again, another great movie that has subtle relatable topics. Con Cybernetico actually shared one of my statuses and inputted some of his thoughts on it. He said, some people are just irreplaceable, and Robin Williams just happens to be one of those people. Man, what a loss. I remember watching Mrs. Doubtfire and Jumanji on VHS when I was a kid, and his performances always made me happy. It's been years since I've seen those movies, and I agree with the assessment that you never know what you've had until you've lost it. I'll have to dig through my shelf to see if I still have those movies. And there it is, We truly never know what we have in life until it's gone. It's sad, but, it's very sad, but at the same time, in a way, now that I'm here today, I'm more happy too as well. I'm glad that I got to grow up with Robin Williams as a kid. Now as an adult, I'm glad that I've gotten to know Robin Williams through his movies and work and interviews and whatever. I'm glad that I was able to ride along this ride of childhood with Robin Williams being the conductor. Um, So I'm happy that we're getting to celebrate the life, that we're truly giving him the respect he deserves, and giving him all the praise that he deserves in the world. He deserves every single praise in the world, every iota, in my opinion. I'm gonna close this newscast today with a poem, and obviously the poem is from the ending scene of Dead Poet Society. Um, with Robin Williams' character, Mr. Keaton, being expelled from the school, and before he left, the students stood up to their desk and recited the poem as he was making his way out. And I just want to read that poem to you guys as we close out the newscast here today. "O Captain, My Captain" by Walt Whitman. Here we go. O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack. The prize we sought is won. The port is near. The bells I hear. The people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady heel. The vessel grim and daring. But oh heart, heart, heart! Oh the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung. For you the bulge trills. For you bouquets and ribbed wreaths. For you the shores are crowding. For you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father! This arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My Captain does not answer. His lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm. He has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound. The voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells! But I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. Robin Williams, you were an entertainer. You were a great actor. You were one of my greatest inspirations as a child, and now even greater, that now your legacy will be remembered forever for many generations following us. Thank you very much, Mr. Robin Williams, for everything that you've done for us as kids and now that you did for us as adults, and we will make sure to preserve your legacy and pass it down to those that may not know your work. Thank you very much for giving us laughs, tears, and all-around joy. I hope wherever you may be, you can finally rest in the true peace that you have finally deserved. Thank you, Robin Williams. We love you, and we'll miss you. And that'll be it for the newscast this week. I'm Hakeem Johnson, and Robin Williams, stay cool. Stay cool.